Hi, this is Atlas, and today I'm just updating you guys on a bunch of the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands news that's come out over the last couple weeks. Most of this news comes from IGN, since they do have their IGN First program going these last couple weeks with a showcase on Tiny Tina, and all these articles have been written by Seth Macy. I will be linking all the articles in the description below, so if you want to get the exact word-for-word version of the articles, then make sure to go check there. First, we got a look at some early concept art from the game, including looks at some of the maps, some of the NPCs, and player character options. We also got looks at some of the enemies, which are pretty detailed actually, and they look really cool. We got some looks at a couple different weapons and all the different modifiers that could go on them. But the thing that I found most interesting was a description of the spell books that you can pick up in-game. These spell books show different attachments on them for the different types of spells that you can actually find in the world. And as of the gameplay that we actually got a couple days ago, we also can see that the spell book just hangs out on the player's hip. And so when you're playing co-op, you can actually see a unique spell book on your co-op player's hip, and it shows the exact type of spell it is if you actually look closely at the book, which is a really nice touch. They didn't have to add that, but it's cool to see that they did it. Another article that was published gives us more information about the spell system. So first it mentions that there are 4 spell weapons manufacturers, which are Conjurer, Arcan, Wordweaver, and Miraculum for the spells, which pop up in your hands actually as you cast them. So in the gameplay trailer that we got a couple weeks ago, and the other gameplay that we got the other day, we can actually see really quickly runes pop up in the player's hand as they cast a spell, which is really nice because it's only on the screen for a fraction of a second really, and it's just so highly stylized. It really shows the amount of effort and style that they put into the game. The next info dump that we got was about melee options in the game. We know that melee comes in 4 flavors, which are two-handed blades, swords, axes, and blunt weapons. The manufacturers of melee weapons are Valora, which makes two-handed swords, Swift, which makes one-handed swords, Cleave, which makes axes, and Bonk. Bonk is spelled in all capital letters, and they specialize in blunt weapons. This article also mentions that, as in previous games, melee attacks can land critical hits, and melee can actually open loot chests in this game, which I think is a really nice spark of personality into the game. The next article they released was about the character creator. The exact words they used to describe the character creator are delightfully bonkers and you can go full Monster Factory. Now they back up those statements by showing us some screenshots of the absolutely horrifying characters that you can make in this game. One screenshot shows something that looks like an elf clown with the largest bug eyes I've ever seen. The next one shows a water person, or water folk, with the nose of a pig, and the next shows someone with ears the size of a gorilla's head. Another option that's available for character creation is to actually turn off symmetry. So with this option disabled, we'll be able to make our eyes or our ears different sizes from each other. They also mentioned that no options are locked behind gender selection. The next part of creating your character is to choose their personality and their background. So we've heard of 4 different personality choices, including gallant, clever, gruff, and strange. And we know that there are 2 voice options for each. And just like the physical option selector, there are no options locked behind gender. The next part of the creator is to choose a backstory for your character. That backstory will give you a starting point to mold your character's hero points, which are strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and attunement, but unfortunately we don't quite know what that means just yet. Maybe your maximum point allotment for a single hero point, let's say strength, would be higher if you choose a backstory like a wrestler or something like that, but unfortunately we just don't know at this time. We were also told what the hero points actually do. So, for example, strength is the stat primarily tied to our critical hit damage. Dexterity is tied to critical hit chance. Constitution is our maximum health and maximum ward. Intelligence is our spell cooldown rate, and Wisdom is our status effect damage. The last one is Attunement, and that one is our action skill cooldown rate. The main takeaway here is Dexterity, which is the critical hit chance. Now, in previous games, every enemy had their own critical hit spot. For humanoid enemies, it was usually the head. For insect enemies, it was usually the butt or something like that. But for this game, it sounds like we can actually land critical hits anywhere on the body. It would just need to land on the RNG, giving us an actual critical hit. The last main point of the character creation article is just that we can change a lot of stuff about our character at quick change stations, including emotes, and we can also edit our character's banner and statue in those menus. The last article just gives us a little bit of information about co-op play. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands will support up to 4 players in the game, and there are 2 different options to select when creating your character, which are cooperation and competition. Cooperation is what most people will select. This way you get your own loot to drop whenever you and your team kills an enemy. This way there will be no loot ninjas that we have to worry about, like in Borderlands 1 and 2. The other effect of choosing cooperation when you create your character is that enemies will scale to your level regardless of the level of the host. This way you can have an enjoyable gaming experience. That's all the info from the recent IGN articles. However, Gearbox themselves just released some extra gameplay footage, which include a look at the heads-up display and the menu UI, and they also dropped the skill trees for all 6 playable classes. You can find them now at playwonderlands.2k.com, and I will be making more videos about those real soon. That's all from me, so thank you so much for listening. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye!